let's spend some time in understanding what is the significance of this festival and what we can do in our life on this auspicious day. So this session is humbly dedicated to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement. Srila Prabhupada ki. So what is the astrological significance of Makar Sankranti? It's interesting to know. Anybody can say how many Sankrantis we have in a year? 2? 1? 1? Who told one? Okay. 12? 12? 12 or 2 or 1? 12? Sure. Any other answer other than 12, 1, 2? Are you all coming for the first time? How many? 3 of you? Is it? Okay. Welcome to our temple. Can we have a Hari Bol for them? Are you all students? Okay. So you can participate. It's all very nice. Do you know what is Sankranti? What is it? And when does it come and how many times in a year does it come? Or is it just once today, Makar Sankranti? Once a year. Yeah. So we'll wait for the next year to have the next Sankranti. Actually, there are 12 Sankrantis. Every month we have one Sankranti. And it's important, it's good to know. Sankranti means the movement. Okay. So you can see that there are some astrological signs. Those of you who follow this signs, the first one is here Libra or Tula. Tula Sankranti is the day on which the sun enters the sign Libra. So each month has one sign, and the sun enters into each of these signs on each of this month. So when the sun enters Mesa or Visuva Sankranti, or the day on which the sun enters the sign Aries. And then when the sun enters Capricorn, the Cancer, it is called the Karkata Sankranti. And then when the sun enters, the first day when the sun begins to move north and center, what happened to this? The zodiacal sign of Capricorn is called Makara Sankranti. So this is the day when the sun enters Capricorn, and it is called Makara Sankranti. Very interestingly, some of us may not know that the sun moves from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere. The 6 months when the sun moves towards the north is called Uttarayana, or the northern path, and it starts from Jan 14th to July 16th. And the remaining months, like July 16th to Jan 14th, that is called Dakshinayana, or the southern path. So I've tried to capture as many states as possible where this Makar Sankranti is celebrated. So first, Karnataka. Anybody Kannada here? No Kannada people? Karnataka, they call it as Sankranti. Tamil Nadu, it is Pongal. North states, Maghi. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that. Assam, anybody from Assam? It's called Magh Bihu. Gujarat, anybody Gujarati? No. Uttran. Odisha, this is called Makara Mela. Kashmir, Sishur Sanekrat. Any Kashmiri here? No. Bihar, UP? Khichdi? Okay. Nepal, any Nepali? Nepali people are also sometimes they come. Maghe Sankranti. And in Sindh, it's Tirumuri. Bengal, this is Ganga Sagar Mela. And Goa, this is Sankranti. So I've covered almost all parts of the country, and there are different names in which this is celebrated. There is a diversity, but somehow it brings people together. So what exactly happens on this day in Karnataka in Sankranti? This is called Suggi, the harvest festival, and there is exchange of Ellu Bella. I don't know what is that. Tiru? Sesame Laddu. That is in Karnataka also? That happens in Badri, yellow bella kya hai? No, no. Till, acha. Bella is laddu. Ajagri, okay. The, and they mix. I think this is what is happening here, probably. And the cows are decorated and all. That's in Karnataka. Promise to speak good. In Andhra Pradesh, though we have majority. Yeah. Sankranti and Bhogi, discard junk. That something happens? Decorate with Rangoli and singing the glories of Lord Vishnu, carrying a colorfully decorated cow. Assam, I don't think anybody is here. Magha Bihu. Bonfires, cultural dances, games, takeli bhonga, delicacies like sungi pitha and laskara. I don't know what is that. Gujarat is Uttran, so international kite flying festival at various cities. Undhiyu and other savories are prepared. I don't know what this. Badri, you know Undhiyu? Acha. Not a sweet. Acha. Okay. And kite cutting competition. Odisha, Sankranti. There is a special rice that they make here. It's called Makar chawla. They add different things in that. And that's also prepared in Jagannath Puri. Makara Mela, there is a Mela, or what do you call that, fair which happens in Cuttack. Special rituals for Lord Jagannath at Puri. Tamil Nadu, it's called Pongal. Prepare Pongal in pots, worship the cattle. Kolam decorations. I don't know what is it. This is Kolam? Rangoli. Kolam decorations. Nepal, Maghe Sankranti, traditional basket dance. This is what they do this. Bathing at holy rivers, and delicious sweet and savories are prepared. West Bengal, there is a Ganga Sagar Mela which happens every year on the day of Makar Sankranti. Of course, on this day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Bathing at Ganges, visit Kapila Muni Ashram. Sorry. That's all for the Ganga Sagar Mela. There is a reference of this Ganga Sagar Mela in Prabhupada's one of the conversation, and he was telling today was Ekadashi, and Srila Prabhupada took his morning walk along the Ganges. Hundreds of pilgrims were taking a dawn bath there, having come for the Ganga Sagar Mela. Prabhupada explained that Sagar is the sea. So the Mela is a spiritual gathering on an island in the Ganga's estuary. Evidently, eager pilgrims had traveled from as far away as Rajasthan in the northwest. They camped along the banks of Mother Ganga, washing their few possessions as well as themselves in the holy waters, unmindful of the boats and other river traffic passing by. They sat contentedly on the pathways, cooking breakfast and drying out their clothing. Noting the shining lota one man carried, Prabhupada remarked that even if the lota is so clean, we can understand how clean he must personally be. Prabhupada also recalled how he and his mother had bathed in the same spot when he was a child. This is one reference. So today, actually, I got one WhatsApp or maybe Facebook link. Somebody shared one temple here in Massachusetts when they were celebrating Makar Sankranti. There was a sponsor for their feast, some Punjabi dhaba or something, and there was loud music going on, Punjabi bhangra, and they were dancing to that tunes. So one question comes, we have different celebrations, different things that we do. What is it that actually we are supposed to do on this day? What are we supposed to do? It was so, I would say, sad to see that, a temple and they're having all movie songs and Matajis were dancing. Probably even the pujari was also present there somewhere and something he was doing. So, but yeah, there are large number of followers who are going there to participate in these things. But what the Vedic scriptures are telling, is that really what we are supposed to do? Is that what will give us the ultimate success or gain in life? Very interestingly, that's not the case. Of course, there are some more interesting facts which I thought I'll share, and before we move to a verse that we will talk. Only festival which follows the solar calendar and the otherwise largely lunar festival calendar of India, almost always on Jan 14th. There's some very interesting fact about this. The days begin to become longer and night dwindles. Winter is over. India, not here. The Uttarayana Punya Kala begins from this day. The Kumbh Mela, once in 12 years, attracts the largest pilgrims on Makar Sankranti. Roughly 100 million people attend the celebrations. Auspicious day to take spiritual commitments can increase the number of rounds chanted daily on this day. Lord Krishna becomes pleased if we chant his names and sing his glories on this day. We should pray to Lord Krishna to increase our bhakti. Another very interesting thing which you may not know, that the 6 months of the demigods is actually, the 6 months of hours in the earthly planet is 1 day of the demigods. So this Uttarayana is actually their daytime. So from Jan to June, our 6 months when it passes, that is actually the daytime of the demigods. And from July to December, the demigods sleep. That is their night time. It's called the Dakshinayana time. So just interesting trivia. Of course, somebody may say, where is it mentioned? Do you have any reference? Yes, there is a reference. There is a verse from the 5th canto. It says, in the middle of that island is a great mountain named Manasottara, which forms the boundary between the inner side and the outer side of the island. Its breadth and height are 10,000 yojanas, which is roughly 80,000 miles. On that mountain, in the 4 directions, are the residential quarters of the demigods, such as Indra. In the chariot of the sun god, the sun travels on the top of the mountain in an orbit called Samvatsara, encircling Mount Meru. The sun's path on the northern side is called Uttarayana, and its path on the southern side is called Dakshinayana. One side represents a day for the demigods, and the other represents their night, which I just showed you. These are all interesting things to know, because there is something which is called auspicious in our scriptures. That's the Uttarayana time. Why it is auspicious? Because it is actually the daytime for the demigods, and it is relatively it is inauspicious when Dakshinayana or the night time for the demigods happen. And there is a reference of this. So the question that I was asking, what am I supposed to do? Maybe find out some place where we find the people from the same state are meeting and exchange those delicacies or talk or dance to those tunes. Is that what am I supposed to do? Or is there something else that I'm supposed to do? Well, the Vedic scriptures very, very nicely, unequivocally, they tell us what we need to do on this kind of days, on this auspicious day. So I'll take one verse, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, before we do that, this is a small trivia. Which is the highest quoted chapter by Srila Prabhupada from Srimad Bhagavatam? Last time I had asked which is the highest quoted verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, but which is the most quoted chapter from Srimad Bhagavatam? 5th? Which canto? Which? 5th canto? Okay. 5th canto, which chapter? 5th canto, 5th chapter. I think, did you see? Because I moved to the next screen also. There was a verse which was there. But that's not the right answer. That is one of the most quoted chapters, but not the most quoted chapter. That's the right answer. 1st canto, 2nd chapter is the right answer. That's what Prabhupada quotes the maximum. Which is the next most? 2nd. Oh, can we have a Haribol for Prabhu? Yeah, what is the next most quoted? You are saying something, Prabhu. 105? 1.5. 1.5. 1st canto, 5th chapter. And that's not the one. 7th canto? Which chapter? 7th canto, 5th chapter, where this verse is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, and then Matirna, Krishna, Soto, Paratova, all those verses are there. So that is the second most. And the third most quoted chapter by Srila Prabhupada from Srimad Bhagavatam is the instructions of Rishabhadev, which comes in the 5th canto, 5th chapter. So we will take one verse from there and we will try to see what exactly we are supposed to do on days like this. So you can repeat after me. Dhrita tanur ushati me purani yene hasatvam paramam pavitram samodamah satyam anugrahascha tapastitiksha anubhavascha yatra Dhrita tanur ushati me purani yene hasatvam paramam pavitram samodamah satyam anugrahascha tapastitiksha anubhavascha yatra. Do one more time. Dhrita tanur ushati me purani yene hasatvam paramam pavitram samodamah satyam anugrahascha tapastitiksha anubhavascha yatra. The translation of this verse is, the Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnation. Therefore, the Vedas are Sabda Brahma. In this world, the Brahmanas thoroughly study all the Vedas, and because they assimilate the Vedic conclusions, they are also to be considered the Vedas personified. The Brahmanas are situated in the supreme transcendental mode of nature, Sattva-guna. Because of this, they are fixed in mind control, Sama, sense control, Dhamma, and truthfulness, Satya. They describe the Vedas in their original sense, and out of mercy, Anugraha, they preach the purpose of the Vedas to all conditioned souls. They practice penance, tapasya, and tolerance, titiksha, and they realize the position of the living entity and the Supreme Lord, Anubhava. These are the 8 qualifications of the Brahmanas. Therefore, among all living entities, no one is superior to the Brahmanas. We will not repeat, it's a long translation. We'll see the purport. This is a true description of a Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who has assimilated the Vedic conclusions by practicing mind and sense control. He speaks the true version of all the Vedas, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedescha sarvair ahameva vedyaha. By studying all the Vedas, one should come to understand the transcendental position of Lord Sri Krishna. One who actually assimilated the essence of the Vedas can preach the truth. He is compassionate to conditioned souls who are suffering the threefold miseries of this conditional world due to their not being Krishna conscious. A Brahmana should take pity on the people and preach Krishna consciousness in order to elevate them. Sri Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally descends into this universe from the spiritual kingdom to teach conditioned souls about the values of spiritual life. He tries to induce them to surrender unto him. Similarly, the Brahmanas do the same thing. After assimilating the Vedic instructions, they assist the Supreme Lord in his endeavor to deliver conditioned souls. The Brahmanas are very dear to the Supreme Lord due to their high sattva-guna qualities, and they also engage in welfare activities for all conditioned souls in the material world. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So wonderful verse from Bhagavatam and very powerful instructions which is given by Risavadev to his 100 sons. So it says, Dhrita tanur ushati me purani yeneha sattvam paramam pavitram. Actually, the way Prabhupada has very succinctly put it, this to find a meaning to the line Dhrita tanur ushati me purani yeneha is very, very difficult. Very difficult. Dhrita, if you see the word-to-word meaning, I just kept it for reference. Dhrita means to like dhru. Dhru dhatu comes with the meaning to hold, to sustain. Dharayate, dharani. So dhrita. Dhrita tanur ushati me purani. So the Brahmanas, they uphold the eternal transcendental sound vibration or the incarnation. So Prabhupada is putting it, the Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnations. Dhrita tanur ushati me purani. Like we have the Vigraha, the Sri Vigraha, which is an incarnation, Archa Murti. Like we chant the holy names, which are also incarnation of the Lord. Similarly, the Vedas are eternal sound incarnation of the Lord. The Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnations. Dhrita tanur ushati me purani yeneha. In this material world, iha, in this material world, yeneha. Therefore, the Vedas are also known as Sabda Brahma. We use Bhagavatam, there is a verse in first canto, third chapter. It says, Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Sammitam. This is non-different from the Lord. When the Lord incarnates as a book, he comes as Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore the Vedas are Sabda Brahma. That means this is non-different from the Lord. The Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnation. Therefore the Vedas are Sabda Brahma. And in this world, what the Brahmanas are supposed to do? They are supposed to thoroughly study all the Vedas. Thoroughly. And not just thoroughly study, but they are supposed to assimilate the Vedic conclusions. That's a big difference. Thoroughly studying, anybody can study. If you are a Sanskrit expert, you can go through the scriptures, you can read the scriptures. But to assimilate that is not an easy thing. So that is why Dhrita Tanur Ushati Me Purani. So these Brahmanas, they thoroughly study all the Vedas, and because they assimilate the Vedic conclusions, they are also to be considered the Vedas personified. So we have some Brahmanas here, isn't it? Some of you, all of us. So Prabhupada's expectations, so let's say we have 10 Brahmanas, 12 Brahmanas. So if you are walking, you are carrying the essence of the Vedic literatures, you have assimilated the Vedic instructions inside you. So when you are walking, it's a Veda personified walking. This is the expectation of Prabhupada. The Vedas are Sabda Brahma, and so we aspire to become Brahmana. Some people come, "Mere ko Brahminical initiation nahi de rahe." Actually, we should be very, very introspective. Do we have it? What exactly it means to be a Brahmana? Where Prabhupada's goal and instruction was to create Brahmanas who can guide the society. What are the qualifications? So it's saying that because they assimilate the Vedic conclusions, they are also to be considered the Vedas personified. The Brahmanas are situated in the supreme transcendental mode of nature, Sattva-guna. So what are the 8 qualifications which is mentioned in this? So I have just divided that translations into different groups based on some parameters. First thing which Prabhupada is mentioning in the translation is that the Brahmanas are situated in Sattva-guna, the supreme transcendental mode of nature. It's actually Suddha Sattva. So the Brahmanas are situated in Sattva-guna. If you see somebody who's predominantly in Rajoguna, Tamoguna, that is not the characteristic of a Brahmana. Brahmanas are meant to be situated in Sattva-guna, the supreme transcendental mode of nature. And just because they are situated in that transcendental mode of nature, because of this, they are fixed in mind control, sama. They're very important characteristics. The mind is disturbed. What kind of a Brahmana you are? They are fixed in mind control, they are fixed in sense control, Dhamma. And they are always truthful, Satya. And then the fifth one, they describe the Vedas in their original sense. And out of mercy, Anugraha, they preach the purpose of the Vedas to all conditioned souls. Very, very important. Actually, the word truthfulness, Satya, which is being given here as one of the qualification of a Brahmana, Prabhupada explains that what exactly Satya means. Truthfulness doesn't mean just by being honest you are truthful. That's the gross meaning of it. But the spectrum, it covers some other different aspects of being truthful. What is that? Presenting Vedas in their original sense. It's a very important thing. What does that mean? That means there are some people who do not present in the original sense? Yes, of course. The Mayavadi people, they say, when Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja, they give a meaning that it means that you have to surrender to somebody who's inside Krishna, that impersonal, absolute thing that you have to surrender to. They screw some meaning out of it. So they describe the Vedas in their original sense. And out of mercy, Anugraha, they preach the purpose of the Vedas to all conditioned souls. How many people are in this material world interested in this? So that is why, but they have compassion. They see the suffering of these people, and out of great compassion, they preach the purpose of the Vedas to all conditioned souls. And then, so these numberings are all not correct. They practice penance, sixth, and tolerance, because you need to have penance. If you have to preach this message, you should be ready for some tapasya. And patience, a lot of patience is required, because people do not have that aptitude, inclination to hear, to understand about their own life. So there is a lot of tolerance, titiksha. And they realize the position of the living entity and the Supreme Lord, Anubhava. Anubhava is experience. They realize the position of living entity, soul, Paramatma, super soul, and the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan. These are the 8 qualifications which are mentioned in this verse. Each one of them is very, very powerful, this thing. But one of the things which I picked up from this, because we have very less time, you see, this whole idea that describing the Vedas in their original sense is something which we have to understand. What exactly? Prabhupada explains this in the purport, beautiful purport. If you read that, and we read that, so many finer points are there. One thing which I want to tell you, what's your name? This person who have come here. Yeah. Naveen. Which part of India are you from? Telangana. Okay. And your friends are also from Telangana? Yeah. Okay. Good. Now, you can relate to this very easily. I don't want to put you in an embarrassing situation, but imagine you have a girlfriend. Okay. Maybe you have, really, I don't know. And probably she's in India, probably. And it's been long that you have met, you have come here, study, harsh weather, cold, rude teachers, give you assignments, you're not able to do well in your exams, and all kinds of expectations from your family, society. And then the only respite that you have is get some time to talk to her, which is also not happening. It's expensive, calling, India, it's international calling, all kinds of things. Your girlfriend sends you a letter. Okay? All your friends there, what are your names? Dharma. What is yours? Satya or something? What is your name? Who's the other ones? Huh? What is that? Punit. Okay. So Dharma and Punit are observing that you've got some letter, just a piece of paper. But they are seeing you are so happy. You're dancing, you're joyously just going here and there. Same Naveen who was, morose, sad, nothing is going in his head because of whatever reasons. These are all. So, but finally that letter is giving you so much of happiness, joy. Maybe when you are sleeping in the night, you'll keep it under your pillow and think about, oh, so nice that letter. Whole night maybe you'll not have sleeplessness. Now, because why? Because, that spirit of that letter, finally you've got it from your girlfriend, which you have been waiting, that gives you so much of joy. Now imagine, fast forward after 100 years. Some people have found that letter. Okay. Some researcher, whatever your girlfriend's name is, and is written to Naveen, and they're reading it. So do you think they will have the same kind of ecstasy that you had? Same kind of joy, dancing and this thing? They will read it. They will just read it, okay, something they've written, some English words are there, something it is trying to say. This is what is the difference between reading books, like, in the sense, the way we read it, where we don't get that original sense. When Arjuna heard Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, his conclusion, Arjuna came to this conclusion, Karishye vachanam tava. I am ready to follow your instruction. Because Krishna was sharing that spirit. There is an urgency. There is a sense of duty. Hare, what are you doing? How can you be caught up with this kind of a thing? This is complete illusion, ignorance, and he was ready. But we read Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, action, karma yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, something we read that doesn't go inside our heart. This is the beauty and the difference, or the gift of receiving the knowledge in parampara, where they preserve that spirit and pass it on. That is why when you read Bhagavad Gita, which is not coming in parampara, you will become a scholar of Bhagavad Gita. But when you read Bhagavad Gita, coming in the parampara, written by a pure devotee, there will be heart transformation. There are devotees who join, who dedicate their life, because they get that spirit of Krishna's talking Bhagavad Gita. So this is the duty of a Brahmana. They describe the Vedas in their original sense, and out of mercy, anugraha, they see that people are so much suffering. They preach the purpose of the Vedas to all conditioned souls, despite there are so many challenges and issues. They practice penance and tolerance, and they realize the position of the living entity and the Supreme Lord. If somebody asks you, is there anybody that you can find who has got all these qualities in him? Have you seen such Brahmana? Great, emphatically we can say yes. Who's that? Who's he? Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. Actually, his life is a demonstration of all this. Every single quality he demonstrated. So, very interestingly, time is running out. Very interesting to know, how did this verse come? Or how does this lead up to this verse? What is there in this chapter? So in this chapter, Rishabhadev is telling, those of us who have accepted the human bodies are not meant to enjoy our senses. Sense gratification is enjoyed by dogs and stool-eating hogs. Actually, the beauty of Bhagavatam, the beauty of Vedic scriptures, they are not meant to give us some kind of false hope, or they are not meant to tell us, no, it's okay. Whatever you're doing, no, it's fine. Sometime you can see, if you think this is not good, you try this also. This is another option. Maybe this is also, this is the most important thing. But you have some other important things which you want to do. You do it. Then you come. No, this is the only important thing. That is why he's saying, those of us having accepted human bodies are not meant to enjoy sense gratification. Sense gratification is enjoyed by dogs and stool-eating hogs. So what is it then meant for? The human life, what is it meant for? Tapo divyam. Tapo divyam, it's just mentioned. Tapa is one of the things which is mentioned in this. Tapa is what? Tapa is austerity, tapasya. Tapa for what? Not for some material goals. Divyam, to get that spiritual realization. What happens if you do tapa? Your heart becomes purified. And when heart is purified, then we attain our eternal life. Currently, the heart is filled with contaminations. Lust, anger, greed, jealousy, avarice, it's filled. So we don't understand who we are. But when we do this tapa, heart is purified and we attain eternal life. How to do? Render service to a Mahatma. Render service to a pure devotee. An opportunity like this comes in your life. Don't neglect it. Don't reject it. Very rare to find a pure devotee who's fixed in Brahman platform, who's fixed in Krishna consciousness. Very difficult. But you find that opportunity, render service to him. There is no happiness by uniting the senses and sense objects. Those who consider this to be happiness are simply mad. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma. There is no happiness. And one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, father, husband or mother, or worshipable demigod. These are all the verses which are there before this, and then it comes to this verse where it is talking about the qualities of a Brahmana, because Brahmana is considered to be even superior than the Lord. That is the position that the Lord is giving, Rishabhadeva is giving. Why? Because they are carrying this, because of these qualifications that is mentioned. Let us see some things in Prabhupada's life. One of the things which is not mentioned in these 8 qualifications, but which Prabhupada demonstrated amply, is this verse, this particular one called Abhay, or courageousness, fearlessness. If you see the life of Prabhupada, so bold, my God. Actually, it's unthinkable. For all of us, for each one of us to move out of our comfort zone itself is so difficult. So many calculations we do. Who is going to receive me if I go to an unknown place? Do I have money? What will happen to me? How long I can survive? What if things go wrong? What is my plan B? All these things we think. But Prabhupada, despite so many challenges, in one of the devotees' memory, this thing I was hearing, how difficult it was for Prabhupada to get the P form, which was needed at that time to come to the US. And how difficult it was to get that ticket on that board, Jaladuta. So many challenges. And that too, Prabhupada didn't know anyone here. No money. But he came. Why? Because his guru, his spiritual master, had given this most impossible task to preach this message of Krishna in the Western country. But was he fearful? What will happen? Whether people will take it? Who will take? Who will not? Did he do any calculation? Did he know anyone? Bold. So much conviction, so much of faith Prabhupada had in the words of Krishna. That faith, that conviction can move mountains. So, of course, somebody can say that, there are material people who are also courageous. They go to some Antarctica, they go into the depths of oceans, they do scuba diving, they do bungee jumping, and so many things. But this is only because his guru had instructed. His guru's instruction was so important for him. Didn't mind boarding a Jaladuta, a cargo ship, having 2 massive heart attacks. There is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada by name Vishakha Mataji. She is the temple president of Bhaktivedanta Manor. So she, in one of her memories, she and her husband Yaduvara Prabhu, they were given they were photographers. So when this Hare Krishna movie that was made, one of the tasks which was given to them was to find out the videos of Prabhupada, or at least lectures, where Prabhupada is talking about his personal challenges that he faced, personal difficulties. And, imagine if had it been any one of us, forget about having 2 massive heart attacks, even if it is little seasickness, little fever, or little something would have gone wrong, maybe diarrhea, nobody in the world whom we know, we would not miss them. We will tell it to our parents, we will tell it to even unknown people, how difficult for me? Prabhupada in his recorded statement only twice mentions about this, about the heart attack. Very rarely. He thought this is Krishna's plan, endured it, had compassion, deep compassion. For people, who are those people? Hippies, drug addicts, no idea about Krishna consciousness. But he had courage and he had compassion, because my guru has told this, I have to do this. The next one, the Brahmanas are situated in Sattva-guna, the supreme transcendental mode of nature. You see Srila Prabhupada's life, always fixed in Sattva-guna, supreme transcendental nature. There are so many disturbances, so many difficulties, so many challenges Prabhupada had to face. One example, without naming the devotee, there was once, there were a couple, Prabhupada got them married, and they were there in one temple, and Prabhupada asked the husband to go to India for some services, and the wife started having an affair with another visiting devotee to that temple and got pregnant. But Prabhupada's compassionate nature, so Prabhupada, what you would have done, what another person would have done, even for those devotees to practice, the 4 regulative principles and do that 16 rounds of chanting was not easy. It was not like everything was, like a cakewalk for Prabhupada. He came and he started and everything was there. It was so difficult. Prabhupada still allowed her. She told, if you want to get married, live a lawful life, honorable life, get married to him, and give $100 donation to temple. And she agreed, and Prabhupada was happy. $100 in those days was quite big. And the husband who went there, when he got to know, he was completely disgusted, and he was made a sannyasi. But still Prabhupada allowed, out of his compassion. In this world, the Brahmanas thoroughly study all the Vedas, and because they assimilate the Vedic conclusions, they are also to be considered the Vedas personified. In Krishna book, there is a chapter which comes, prayers by the personified Vedas. What is that? The last chapter, prayers by the personified Vedas. Actually, Prabhupada was Vedas personified. Personified. Because he was so strongly rooted in his philosophy, and because he had assimilated those, the moment he used to speak, it used to sever the knots, the material knots in people's hearts. There's a photo of Prabhupada, this is in Juhu. There's some of the rare photos of Prabhupada. You will not find this in this thing. He used to read his own books, and he used to say that this is not written by me, this is dictated by Krishna. And these books are available to us, the greatest gift of Srila Prabhupada. Of course, you can't say this is the greatest. Everything that Prabhupada has given is a wonderful gift to us to purify our life. He used to read, and there is actually mentioned, there was another video that I was seeing, Memory of Prabhupada by Brahmananda Swami. He is telling that one day, Prabhupada usually will get up at around 12 or 1, and he'll do this translation of this Srimad Bhagavatam and other books, and then he'll go for morning walk, he will have the greetings of the Lord, then he'll have Bhagavatam class, and in Bhagavatam class, if children or women, especially, if they make some noise, Prabhupada used to get annoyed. So this mothers of those children, they will take them to some different rooms. But there is a different thing which Prabhupada used to do. After the class, Prabhupada used to give cookies to each of these children. That's called the Prabhupada cookies, which Mataji also got, isn't it? Jai Radha Mataji. So, but anyway, the interesting thing is, one day, in one of those days in Juhu, Brahmananda Swami says, I thought Prabhupada must be very tired. Since 2 o'clock he has been awake, and the very extensive Bhagavatam class, must be tired. And he went and requested Prabhupada, why don't you go and take rest? The distribution of cookies I will do. Swami, why don't you go? Prabhupada said, no. I have a personal thing with those children. I want to give that. And he didn't want it to be taken by anybody else. He personally used to give that. That's his compassion. He used to remember even those children and he used to give these cookies to them. So another thing, anybody knows which place is this? Radha Damodar temple. In 1970s, Prabhupada had taken his disciples and he was giving this class on Nectar of Devotion in Radha Damodar temple. But those devotees in these classes are recorded. You can see and you can hear these lectures, amazing lectures on Nectar of Devotion. One of the best, probably, of the purest lectures. Look at Prabhupada's mind. Look at Prabhupada's eyes. Completely controlled, sama, mind controlling of the mind. How does the control of mind comes? Of course, somebody can say by abhyasena tu kaunteya and vairagyana cha grihate. He was absorbed in Krishna, completely absorbed. This time, when this sessions Prabhupada was taking in Radha Damodar temple, in Juhu, there were a lot of turmoils. There were a lot of issues going on in acquiring that land. Those kind of things, if somebody is facing, it is very, very difficult to stay calm. But even though all those things are going on, not just this one, I mean, if you read that I'll Build a Temple for You, that book by Giriraj, he gives so many descriptions, so many challenges which Prabhupada had to face during that time, during that acquiring the Juhu land. Not just that, there may be so many other problems which are going on. But Prabhupada was not disturbed, completely under control. Sense control. Sense control, if you see, Prabhupada has given us this wonderful thing called prasadam, right? Restricting to prasadam always. No matter how much temptations are coming, no, I should not take. Take I mean, the tongue is asking for some palatable thing, take only prasadam. That is how the senses can be controlled. And of course, chanting the names of the Lord. They describe the Vedas in their original sense, and out of mercy, they preach the purpose of the Vedas to all conditioned souls. I spoke about this. Prabhupada was bold. He never minced his words. He never wanted to please someone. He spoke whatever is spoken, like Bhagavatam, Rishabhadev's instruction, very cutthroat. This is what human life is meant for. You can't, just because you want to have some followers, you want to have some supporters, or you want to have something, you tell something which is pleasing. Never. Never. That was never the case. Whoever it may be, very boldly Prabhupada presented this. One classic example of this is Malati Devidasi, when she met Prabhupada, when she was in her 20s or early 20s, maybe between 20 to 25. Prabhupada told her, in this material world, there is no pure love. Very difficult thing to say someone, right? Everybody is hankering after that. Everybody is going after somewhere or other. They want to look for that. Prabhupada said that. And she got convinced. She realized it. She recollects that, those words had so profound impact. She realized that actually if there is some selfish interest, there is love. Otherwise, there is no pure love. Rishabhadev was saying that sense gratification is bad. I mean, not bad. You're not supposed to do in human life. Who will say that? The whole world is saying just enjoy, go for sense gratification. But this is Bhagavatam. This is a pure devotee. This is a true Brahmana. Here are all some rare photos of Prabhupada. And the last two things which this is mentioned is penance. Actually, there is a lot to share, but we are running out of time. Penance and titiksha, right? So, the compassion and the austerity by which one can realize the Lord and the super soul and the soul. Prabhupada was a classic example. He was completely fixed and so much compassion. There was no need for him to come at that ripe age of 70 to this world where there was nothing. But he had firm faith and conviction in the message of Krishna and in the order of his Guru. And he did this. Incredible thing. And we are also so fortunate, so fortunate. But our mind still goes crazy. It goes for only the superficial thing. We don't want to go deeper. We don't want to understand what these Vedic literatures are trying to tell us. Even though we hear, we again go back and continue doing the same thing. There's a devotee I met this time in Vrindavan. He told me something very, very practical, very nice thing. He was telling that, we live our life and we preach the philosophy. We live our life and we preach the philosophy. Ideally, we should live the philosophy and preach by our life. The philosophy that we are reading, we are supposed to apply it. We are supposed to introspect and see whether I am able to do it. We should live the philosophy and preach by our life. If we meditate on this auspicious day of Makar Sankranti, when we have come to the temple, we may have some material goals and desires. We are not completely free from the contaminations. But what is it that the scriptures are telling? Why did Prabhupada come here? What was his need to give this Krishna consciousness to undeserving, unqualified people like us? What was his need? And what is it that he wants us to become? How should we behave? What should we look like? How should we change? If we meditate on this, if we meditate on these instructions, then our life will be truly glorious. So with this, we'll stop here, unless you have any questions or comments. I skipped a lot of things, but anybody has anything to ask? Any questions, any comments? All good? Yes, sir. No problem. I think so, yeah. It's somehow, I don't know, I mean, the weather here and the weather in India, they're completely different. Yeah, geographical locations. It's very different. We'll stop here and have our Aarti and other programs. Srila Prabhupada ki, Makar Sankranti Maha Mahotsav ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.